You stop that right now, do you hear me? I will not have this kind of behavior on my flight. Stop being difficult. I am telling you right now, you follow my instructions or you will be removed from this aircraft immediately.
Months later, Marcus boarded a plane again. His palms were damp. The air smelled of recycled cold and burnt coffee. The flight attendant smiled, genuinely, this time. "Welcome aboard, Mr. Hale." He hesitated, then smiled back. "Thank you." When the plane lifted, his chest tightened, not from fear, but from memory. He looked out the window, at the ground shrinking beneath him. The same earth that once held him down now seemed smaller, almost forgivable. Jasmine reached for his hand. "Still afraid?" she asked. He shook his head. "No, just aware," she smiled. "Good awareness is how we stay human." He watched the horizon, endless, unbroken, and thought of all the people who'd never make it this high, not because they couldn't, but because someone decided they shouldn't. The seatbelt light blinked off. The sky, hummed. For the first time in a long time, Marcus exhaled fully. The flight continued, not smooth, but steady, and this time, no one told him to leave his seat. Later that night, Marcus took Jasmine and their daughter to the coast. The sky was bruised with sunset, the tides slow and rhythmic. He watched his daughter chase the foam, laughter rising like oxygen. Jasmine leaned against him. "You look lighter." "I'm not," he said, "just less angry at gravity." She smiled. "Gravity never hated you." "No," he said, "but people did, and they built their rules to match." They stood together, watching the planes glide overhead, each one a moving contradiction, the freedom to fly and the fear that grounded him. 2 weeks later, SkyCorps rebranded, new logo, new slogans. The future takes flight. One sky, one standard. It looked like progress, but Marcus knew better. Systems don't repent, they rebrand. Still, something had shifted. Flight attendants formed a union chapter demanding new anti-biased policies. Passengers began recording their own experiences, small acts of awareness, ripples in the machinery. Tara's full documentary dropped online, uncut footage, interviews, whistleblower testimonies. It went viral again, this time without edits. One clip showed Marcus on the plane.com and composed, saying just one line before security dragged him away. "I'm not your threat, I'm your reflection." That line became a movement slogan, printed on signs, painted on walls. "I'm not your threat, I'm your reflection." The cabin lights dimmed to gold as passengers shuffled into their seats, phones out, earbuds in. Marcus Hale, a calm presence in a tailored charcoal suit, tucked his carry-on neatly above row 14. He had just closed a multi-million-dollar deal, and for the first time in months, he was flying home early to surprise his daughter. "Sir, that compartment's full," came the voice, sharp, slicing through the low hum. The flight attendant stood stiffly, lips pressed, eyes flat. Marcus glanced up. The bin wasn't full, half empty, in fact. But before he could respond, she stepped closer. "I said don't touch that bin. It's reserved for first class." The row turned silent. A child's whisper drifted. "Mom, what's wrong with him?" Marcus lowered his hand slowly, heartbeat ticking in his ears. He smiled, polite, practiced, the kind of smile black men wear when the room tilts toward danger. "Ma'am, I'm in one foray. The ticket says business priority, sir." She cut him off, voice rising. "Step back or I'll have security remove you." A phone camera clicked on. Somewhere behind him, a man muttered, "Here we go again." Marcus froze, the hum of the engines filling the silence. And then the captain's voice broke through the intercom. Steady and corporate, "Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing a brief delay due to a passenger disturbance." Marcus looked round, every eye on him, and in that suspended moment, he made a decision that would stop the plane before it ever left the ground. The boarding line was a slow-moving current of voices, zippers, and the metallic click of latches. Marcus Hale stood quietly, passport in hand, his suit jacket folded neatly over his arm. The flight to Washington was routine. He'd taken it hundreds of times, but today, as he placed his carry-on in the overhead compartment, a shadow fell across him. "Sir, that's not your space." He turned. The flight attendant, mid-30s, blonde hair tight in a bun, badge reading Becky Lawson, wasn't smiling. Her hand hovered near the bin like she was guarding treasure. Marcus looked up. "Ma'am, it's half empty." I said it's not for economy," she snapped. A couple in row 13 paused mid-conversation. A man in first class looked over his newspaper, eyes narrowing. Marcus kept his voice low. I'm in business priority. The ticket, she cut in, louder. Then you can wait. Don't raise your voice at me. His hand dropped from the handle. A cold, thin silence filled the aisle. He exhaled slowly. I'm not raising my voice. Behind him, someone muttered. Just sit down, man. Marcus turned. The speaker avoided eye contact. He looked back at Becky. If you'd prefer, I can move the bag to security. She barked suddenly, startling everyone around. Phones lifted. Cameras clicked. Ma'am, he began. There's no need for that. You're being aggressive, she said, stepping back dramatically, voice trembling, though her eyes stayed steady, cold. You're making me uncomfortable. He froze. Those words, making me uncomfortable, had weight. Dangerous weight. He'd heard them before, in meetings, in hallways, words that turned perception into guilt. Within minutes, 2 airport officers arrived. One placed a hand near his holster, a rehearsed intimidation. We're gonna need you to step off the aircraft, one said. Why? Marcus asked. Ma'am reports you were verbally aggressive. Becky folded her arms, watching that. Marcus inhaled sharply, looked at the passengers, half looking away, half recording. He saw no allies, just avoidance. He nodded once. I'll step off. As he moved toward the exit, a woman whispered to her husband. He was calm the whole time. Her phone was still recording. Marcus turned his head slightly. Make sure you keep that video, he said quietly. Becky flinched, her composure cracking just a little. Outside, the corridor buzzed with the usual pre-flight announcements, but for Marcus, sound had collapsed into a narrow pulse behind his temples. He was led into the terminal, an invisible perimeter of suspicion forming around him. Behind him, through the glass window, he saw the plane door close. The engine spooled down. Then the captain's voice echoed faintly from inside. Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing a brief delay due to a passenger disturbance. Marcus stopped walking, turned to the officer. I designed those control systems, he said, voice even, almost detached. This airline's fleet runs on my software. The officer blinked. What? Marcus looked back at the plane. Grounded for now. You'll understand soon. He wasn't threatening, he wasn't loud, but something in his tone made the officer hesitate. The flight that was supposed to lift off stayed motionless, waiting, suspended as the world outside began to watch. The holding room at Gates 23 was colder than it needed to be, all glass and sterile light. Marcus sat alone, at a metal table, hands folded. His watch had stopped ticking. 2 airline representatives entered first, navy suits, name badges gleaming. Behind them, a security officer lingered, arms crossed, silent. Mr. Hale, said the older rep, a man with the polite stiffness of corporate training, we appreciate your cooperation. Marcus said nothing. The younger one, a woman, cleared her throat. We reviewed the incident report. The flight attendant stated you became agitated and refused to comply with crew instructions. Agitated, Marcus repeated, voice even. Define that. She hesitated. Raised tone, non-compliance. He met her eyes. You mean I spoke? The officer shifted his weight but didn't intervene. Marcus leaned forward. You've seen the recording. The man's expression tightened. We're aware some passengers were filming. We can't comment on that. Convenient, Marcus said quietly. For a moment, no one spoke. The hum of the air conditioning filled the gap, sharp, mechanical. Finally, the woman tried again. Sir, if you could provide a statement. He cut her off. I already did. To the officer. To you, I'll just say this. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't threaten anyone. I raised a suitcase. The older man frowned. There's no need for hostility. Marcus laughed softly. Hostility. He gestured to the room. The cameras, the locked door. You called the police on a passenger for touching an overhead bin. A pause. The security officer glanced toward the mirror, the kind that hid another room behind it. Marcus knew someone was watching. Someone higher. He sat back, calmer now. This isn't about a bin. It's about control. The man sighed, scribbling notes. You're free to leave once you sign this acknowledgement form. It confirms you were questioned and released without incident. Marcus didn't move. Without incident, he repeated slowly. Interesting phrase. He signed anyway, a survival reflex. As he walked toward the exit, the officer muttered, almost to himself, never seen one go down so fast over nothing. Marcus didn't respond. He'd learned that in silence, truth echoes louder. Outside the terminal was loud again. Coffee machines, rolling luggage, voices layered over voices. But Marcus heard only the rhythmic pulse of his own thoughts. He checked his phone. 17 missed calls. The first voicemail was from Jasmine, his wife. Marcus, I saw something online. Call me, please. The second was from Skycor's HR director. Marcus, let's connect when you land. There's some chatter on social media. Just be cautious. He sat down at an empty gate, phone trembling slightly in his hand. He opened Twitter. The video had already been posted. Shaky footage, 15 seconds long, but enough. Becky Lawson's voice rang out clear. Step back or I'll have security remove you. Then silence, followed by murmurs. Then Marcus walking off the plane. Caption, Black man humiliated by flight attendant for touching overhead bin. Retweets, 3 OK views, climbing by the second. He exhaled, eyes blurring. A notification pinged a DM from someone named Tara S. Hey, I was 2 rows behind you. I recorded everything. Full video. You need to see this. He stared at the message for a long moment, thumb hovering. Then he typed, send it. The file arrived seconds later. Longer video, different angle. Becky's smirk after calling security. A coworker whispering, he didn't even do anything. Marcus watched twice. His stomach tightened, not from rage, but recognition. The pattern was too familiar, too precise. He forwarded the clip to his personal email. A habit of self-preservation. Evidence first, feelings later. By the time he reached the parking garage, the world outside had shifted. Reporters were circling the terminal entrance. A headline flashed on a passerby's phone. Passenger removed from flight after heated exchange with crew. The subline read, sources claim incident may involve racial bias. Marcus walked past the crowd. Who'd pulled blow dot at home? Jasmine met him at the door. Robe, slippers, eyes red. Marcus, what happened? He dropped his bag by the wall. A woman decided she didn't like where I put my suitcase. She stared. That's it. That's all it ever is, he said quietly. From the hallway, a smaller voice broke the tension. Daddy. Amara, 7 years old, holding her stuffed bear. Marcus crouched, opened his arms. She ran into him, laughing. Mom said you'd be late. Did your plane get lost? He swallowed hard. Something like that. She grinned. You're home early. He smiled. Just barely. Yeah, baby, I am. Behind him, Jasmine's phone buzzed again, notifications lighting the screen. She turned it face down on the counter. Marcus looked at her. It's everywhere already, isn't it? She nodded. You're trending. He sank into the couch, rubbing his temples. I didn't even do anything. Jasmine sat beside him, hand on his knee. You don't have to explain, not to me. He looked at his daughter, now humming softly to her bare innocent, untouched by the world's ugliness. For a fleeting second, he envied her ignorance. But deep down, he knew by morning, she'd see her father's face on a screen, framed by headlines he didn't write, and the story would no longer belong to him. The morning broke gray and silent. Marcus hadn't slept. The television flickered blue across the living room wall. Cable news anchors talking in polished, distant tones. A confrontation aboard Flight 782 has sparked outrage across social media. Some passengers claim racial bias was a factor. The airline has released a brief statement calling the incident a misunderstanding. Marcus muted the screen. He'd already memorized the phrases. Misunderstanding, protocol, disturbance, the vocabulary of denial. Jasmine handed him coffee. Her movements, small and deliberate. They're saying the airline's investigating. He took the cup, staring into the dark liquid. Investigating what? That gravity works the same on every color of skin. She didn't answer. His phone buzzed dozens of unread messages, most from unknown numbers, reporters, commentators, lawyers, old college, friends, suddenly remembering his number. And beneath it all, one message stood out. Skycore HR. Please report to the office at 10 a.m. for a confidential conversation. He read it twice. They didn't even wait a day. Jasmine folded her arms. They're scared. They should be, he said, but his tone lacked conviction. The drive to Skycore headquarters felt longer than usual. The building's mirrored windows reflected gray skies, like even the architecture wanted to stay neutral. Inside, the receptionist looked up, hesitated. Mr. Hale, they're expecting you. Conference room B smelled faintly of coffee and new carpet. 2 executives waited, both white, both impeccably calm. Marcus, said the senior VP, offering a handshake he didn't take. You've had a rough few days. Marcus sat down. I had a rough flight. The VP smiled too quickly. We just want to make sure you're all right. And, of course, that the company's reputation isn't unintentionally entangled in social discourse. Marcus tilted his head. Social discourse? You mean racism? The VP's smile tightened. We're not here to debate language. The HR director chimed in softly. Our corporate partners, including the airline, are concerned about visibility. It's best, for everyone, if you remain offline for now. No statements, no interviews. Marcus stared. You want me to be quiet, just until the noise dies down. He let out a low laugh. You think silence kills noise? The HR director leaned forward, lowering her voice. Marcus, you're valuable to us. Don't make yourself a liability. He felt his jaw tighten. So, compliance over conscience, professionalism, she corrected. He rose slowly. Same difference. As he left, their voices followed him, calm, managerial, sanitized. Words like containment, strategy, damage control. None of them meant truth. Back in his car, Marcus checked his phone. The video had passed 3 million views. There were comments, endless threads of them. He should have just followed the rules. Typical. I saw the clip. That woman was out of line. Another case of playing the race card. Every opinion was a weapon. Every stranger an expert on his pain. Then a new notification appeared. A tweet tagged with his name. Breaking. The passenger removed from Flight 782 is Marcus Hale, lead engineer at Skycore Technologies, one of the airline's major defense partners. His chest tightened. That information wasn't public. Someone leaked it, Jasmine called seconds later. Marcus, it's on CNN now. They're naming you, your company, everything. He stared through the windshield. Then it's already bigger than me. By evening, reporters camped outside their home. Microphones, cameras, polite intrusions. Jasmine drew the curtains. Amara watched from the stairs, whispering, Why are they here? Marcus knelt beside her. They just want to ask questions. Baby, about what? He hesitated. About people not being fair. She frowned. You didn't do anything wrong. He smiled faintly. That doesn't always matter. Later that night, alone in his study, Marcus played the full video again. Becky's face, her smirk, the hesitation in the officer's eyes when Marcus had said, I built those systems. He thought about that line, about irony, about power. He had spent 15 years designing technology that kept planes safe, precise, obedient to command, yet a single accusation, spoken with conviction, had dismantled his dignity faster than any system failure. His inbox pinged, a new message from Tara S., the passenger who filmed everything. It's spreading fast. I'm a reporter now. I can help you tell your side if you're ready. Marcus stared at the screen. A small tremor of decision flickered beneath exhaustion. He typed 2 words. Let's talk. Outside, the cameras still waited, their lenses glinting like eyes in the dark. Inside, Marcus turned off every light except one, the glow from his laptop. He began compiling evidence, emails, flight data, a quiet, deliberate rebellion. He didn't want revenge. He wanted the truth to fly, even if he never could again. The Skycore headquarters gleamed with the same sterile precision. Marcus had helped design into its systems, glass walls, neutral tones, everything engineered to look transparent. But that morning, transparency felt like surveillance. When Marcus swiped his badge at the security gate, it blinked red twice before turning green. A delay. Not an error, a message. On the top floor, HR had replaced the usual framed posters about integrity and innovation with vague corporate statements about professional conduct. Inside the boardroom, 4 executives waited, the VP of Engineering, the HR director, a legal counsel, and someone Marcus hadn't seen before. Public relations. They all smiled the way people smile before saying something they know will sting. Marcus, the VP began, gesturing to the seat at the far end. Thank you for coming in. He sat, back straight, face neutral, didn't realize it was optional. A polite chuckle from legal. Let's just have a conversation. The PR woman leaned forward. You're aware your name's now tied to a trending national controversy. The airline's facing backlash. And, unfortunately, Skycore's partnership with them has drawn attention. Marcus folded his hands. Attention from whom? The public or your shareholders? She paused. Both, actually. The VP interjected, smoothing his tie. We value your contribution, Marcus. You've been instrumental to our systems division. But Marcus finished the sentence for him. But I've become inconvenient. The room went still. Legal cleared his throat. Let's be candid. Your public identification as an employee of Skycore places us at reputational risk. We're placing you on paid administrative leave pending internal review. Review of what? Marcus asked. Conduct unbecoming of a corporate representative. He blinked. For being humiliated in public. The HR director offered the kind of sympathetic expression that comes from training, not empathy. This is temporary. Once the situation cools down, Marcus cut in. Once the story fades. No one corrected him. He leaned forward, voice low. You want to discipline me for what someone else did because she was white, and I wasn't. The VP exhaled through his nose. We don't see color here. Marcus smiled, sharp. Then you must live in a different country. The PR woman frowned. Marcus, no one's punishing you. We just need to preserve stability. He laughed once. You build stability on silence. Ligo slid a folder across the table. Here's the leave agreement. Standard. You'll retain benefits and compensation, provided you refrain from media engagement. Marcus didn't touch it. You mean, provided I shut up. Provided, Legal repeated evenly. You act in the company's best interest. Marcus stared at the folder, clean, white, full of language that reduced everything to procedure. Then he looked up. Do you know what irony is? The VP frowned. Marcus, I designed your flight control redundancy systems, safety protocols that prevent catastrophe even when everything else fails. His voice stayed calm. You've built a culture that does the opposite. The VP's tone sharpened. Marcus, you're emotional? Take a few weeks. Clear your head. I'm not emotional, he said, rising. I'm observant. He walked out before they could stop him. The elevator ride down felt endless. Through the glass walls, he saw co-workers glance away as he passed allies yesterday, bystanders today. At his desk, he packed a few essentials: notebook, badge, laptop charger. A silence hung over the office, the kind that comes when people are listening without wanting to be seen doing it. Double quotes. Hey, a voice whispered. Marcus turned. It was Daniel, a junior engineer, white, mid-20s, nervous. Man, that's messed up, Daniel said. What they're doing to you. Marcus studied him. Then say something. Daniel's face flushed. You know I can't. I know, Marcus said. That's the point. Daniel looked down. I'm sorry. Marcus placed a hand on his shoulder. Don't be sorry. Be better. Then he walked away. At home, Jasmine was on the phone with her sister. Her tone was calm but clipped. The tone she used when trying not to panic in front of Amara. When she hung up, she said, They put you on leave, didn't they? Administrative, he said, their favorite word for silence. She rubbed her temples. What are you going to do? He dropped the folder on the counter. Not what they want. Her eyes met his. Marcus, you know they'll come after you harder if you speak up. He nodded. Then I'll make sure they don't get to write the ending. He opened his laptop. Emails poured in. Journalists, activists, strangers offering support. But one caught his eye. From Tara S. again. Sources inside the airline say they're scrubbing internal logs. The story's bigger than you think. Marcus exhaled slowly. He knew this tone. Systemic, calculated, professional erasure. He replied, Meet me tomorrow. No cameras, no leaks yet. That night, sleep didn't come. The house was quiet, except for the faint hum of the refrigerator. Jasmine lay beside him, half asleep. You could still walk away, she murmured. Start over. He stared at the ceiling. And let them rewrite what happened. She turned toward him. Just don't lose yourself to this. He didn't answer. Because somewhere between humiliation and truth, Marcus realized he was already becoming someone else, someone who didn't need permission to speak. The cafe was quiet except for the hum of an espresso machine and the faint crackle of rain against the windows. Marcus sat in the corner, hood up, eyes fixed on the door. He'd chosen the back table deliberately. No reflections, no cameras, no accidental EAVESDROPPERS. At 10:06, Tara walked in. She wasn't what he expected. Young, late 20s maybe, denim jacket, notebook, clutched under her arm. She spotted him instantly. Marcus Hale. He nodded. Tara S., the woman who turned my humiliation into a headline. She flinched. You think I meant to exploit it? I think you knew what it would do. She sat down, meeting his gaze without apology. The truth spreads faster than lies. You should be glad people saw what really happened. He leaned back. Truth and spectacle are not the same thing. Tara took out her phone, scrolling to a set of screenshots. I didn't come here to debate ethics. The airline's deleting internal reports. They're rewriting timestamps. reclassifying your case as a security intervention. I have the logs before and after edits. Marcus leaned forward. How did you get that? I still have friends on the inside. One of them's done with covering for management. He looked at the data. Flight 782, edited timestamps, missing camera entries, falsified statements from crew, a digital erasure of what really happened. Tara's voice dropped. They're not just protecting a flight attendant. They're protecting a system. Marcus exhaled. You want me to go public? She hesitated. You need to. They only get away with this if you stay silent. He stared at her. You sound like you've said that to someone before. Her jaw tightened. My brother, he didn't. Silence stopped. Marcus understood without asking for details. And what happened? She looked down. They wrote him into the file as non-compliant. He sat back, hands clasped. That's how they bury people under paperwork. Then stop letting them, she said. You have proof, credibility, and visibility. Use it. He didn't answer right away. His phone buzzed. Jasmine. He silenced it. Tara gathered her notes. They're meeting tomorrow with Skycor's legal team. By next week, you'll be branded a liability. If you want to fight, now's the time. He nodded slowly. I'll think about it. When he got home, Jasmine was waiting by the window. Where were you? Meeting someone who still believes in truth. Her arms folded. You mean that journalist? Marcus, we talked about this. You talked, he said quietly. I listened, she sighed. You think going public will fix this? You'll lose everything. Your job, your name, maybe even custody if they spin you unstable. You've seen what they do to black men who challenge the system. He turned away. And what happens if I don't? They win quietly. Sometimes survival is winning, she said, voice cracking. He stopped, looking at her, really looking. I'm tired of surviving. I want to live with my head up. Jasmine stepped closer, lowering her voice. You think justice feels like freedom, but it comes with a price. Don't make our daughter pay it. He swallowed hard. She already will, Jasmine. She grew up watching what they do to men like me, unless someone breaks the pattern. For a long moment, neither spoke. The rain outside deepened. Finally, Jasmine whispered. Then make sure when you break it, you don't break us too. He nodded slowly. I won't, but in his chest, he wasn't sure. The next morning, Marcus drove to his father's house, an old brick home filled with books and silence. Leon Hale, retired civil rights lawyer, opened the door before Marcus could knock. I saw the news, he said simply. Marcus stepped inside. I need your help. His father poured coffee, motioning to sit. You want to sue? I want to expose them. Leon studied him. You sound like me, 30 years ago. Was that a bad thing? It was a costly thing. Marcus leaned forward. They erased evidence, falsified records. You taught me to fight with facts. Leon's voice hardened. Facts don't matter if the world refuses to look. Marcus met his eyes. Then we make them look. A long silence. Then Leon smiled faintly, a sad, proud smile. You always did get that from your mother. He slid a legal pad across the table. If you're doing this, we do it right. No anger, no outburst. You'll fight with discipline. They'll expect emotion. Give them strategy. Marcus nodded. I'll need everything. Their contracts, their policies, every clause. Leon leaned back. Then you'd better be ready. Because once this starts, there's no pause button. Marcus's eyes were steady now. I don't need one. That night, he drafted his statement. Not a rant, not a plea, just truth, structured, surgical, undeniable. He attached the unedited footage, the internal logs Tara had given him, and a note at the end. If speaking costs me my comfort, so be it. Silence costs more. He hit send. And as the screen confirmed message delivered, Marcus Hale crossed the invisible line between victim and witness. The courtroom was a cold geometry of glass and polished oak. Cameras lined the walls, silent, watchful. The hearing wasn't criminal yet, just a civil inquiry, but everyone knew what it really was, a public reckoning disguised as procedure. Marcus sat at the table beside his father. Leon's hands were steady on the case file. Across from them sat Skycor's legal team, 4 attorneys, in matching gray suits, expressions neutral, eyes trained to disarm. At the head of the panel, the chairwoman adjusted her glasses. This session concerns Flight 782 and the incident involving Mr. Marcus Hale. All parties have reviewed the digital evidence. A chorus of affirm at Ives. Leon stood. We have, Madam Chair. And we'd like to submit one additional document, the unaltered cabin footage. The Skycor lawyer rose instantly. Objection, that video's provenance is uncertain. Leon's tone didn't shift. uncertain only to those who erased the original. Murmurs rippled through the gallery. The chairwoman raised a hand. Proceed. The footage will be reviewed. They dimmed the lights. The video played on the main screen. The world watched Marcus sitting quietly, reading, until the attendant approached. The exchange, the accusation, the sudden grip on his arm, then the guards, the forced removal, no sound, only images, each one an indictment. When it ended, no one spoke. Leon broke the silence. This is not a misunderstanding. It's an algorithmic assumption, a system designed to treat compliance as guilt when worn on dark skin. The opposing lawyer stood. Sky Corps maintains its crew acted within protocol. Then, your protocol, Leon said sharply, is a codified bias. The chairwoman's gaze shifted to Marcus. Mr. Hale, would you like to speak? Finally, Jasmine whispered, then make sure when you break it, you don't break us too. He nodded slowly. I won't. But in his chest, he wasn't sure. The next morning, Marcus drove to his father's house, an old brick home filled with books and silence. Leon Hale, retired civil rights lawyer, opened the door before Marcus could knock. I saw the news, he said simply. Marcus stepped inside. I need your help. His father poured coffee, motioning to sit. You want to sue. I want to expose them. Leon studied him. You sound like me, 30 years ago. Was that a bad thing? It was a costly thing. Marcus leaned forward. They erased evidence, falsified records. You taught me to fight with facts. Leon's voice hardened. Facts don't matter if the world refuses to look. Marcus met his eyes. Then we make them look. A long silence. Then Leon smiled faintly, a sad, proud smile. You always did get that from your mother. He slid a legal pad across the table. If you're doing this, we do it right. No anger, no outburst. You'll fight with discipline. They'll expect emotion. Give them strategy. Marcus nodded. I'll need everything. Their contracts, their policies, every clause. Leon leaned back. Then you'd better be ready, because once this starts, there's no pause button. Marcus's eyes were steady now. I don't need one. That night, he drafted his statement. Not a rant, not a plea, just truth, structured, surgical, undeniable. He attached the unedited footage, the internal logs Tara had given him, and a note at the end. If speaking costs me my comfort, so be it. Silence costs more. He hit send, and as the screen confirmed message delivered, Marcus Hale crossed the invisible line between victim and witness. The courtroom was a cold geometry of glass and polished oak. Cameras lined the walls, silent, watchful. The hearing wasn't criminal yet, just a civil inquiry, but everyone knew what it really was, a public reckoning, disguised as procedure. Marcus sat at the table beside his father. Leon's hands were steady on the case file. Across from them, sat Sky Corps' legal team for attorneys in matching gray suits, expressions neutral, eyes trained to disarm. At the head of the panel, the chairwoman adjusted her glasses. This session concerns Flight 782 and the incident involving Mr. Marcus Hale. All parties have reviewed the digital evidence. A chorus of affirm at Ives. Leon stood. We have, Madam Chair. And we'd like to submit one additional document, the unaltered cabin footage. The Sky Corps lawyer rose instantly. Objection. That video's provenance is uncertain. Leon's tone didn't shift. Uncertain only to those who erased the original. Murmurs rippled through the gallery. The chairwoman raised a hand. Proceed. The footage will be reviewed. They dimmed the lights. The video played on the main screen. The world watched Marcus sitting quietly, reading, until the attendant approached. The exchange, the accusation, the sudden grip on his arm, then the guards, the forced removal. No sound, only images, each one an indictment. When it ended, no one spoke. Leon broke the silence. This is not a misunderstanding. It's an algorithmic assumption, a system designed to treat compliance as guilt when worn on dark skin. The opposing lawyer stood. Sky Corps maintains its crew acted within protocol. Then your protocol, Leon said sharply, is a codified bias. The chairwoman's gaze shifted to Marcus. Mr. Hale, would you like to speak? He looked straight at the Sky Corps table. You didn't just remove me from a flight. You tried to remove me from the record. And that's what this hearing is really about. Who gets to exist in history? For a full 5 seconds, no one moved. Then the chairwoman said quietly, the board will recess for deliberation. Outside, the sky was breaking open, half sun, half storm. Leon walked beside him, silent. After a moment, he said, you handled it better than I would have. Marcus managed a faint smile. You taught me restraint. Leon's gaze softened. I taught you survival. You learned courage on your own. Tara approached with her phone. It's everywhere, she said. The video, your statement, it's gone viral again. This time no edits, no spin. Marcus watched the screen. Comments, shares, outrage, support. It was the digital echo of justice. Loud but uncertain. He handed the phone back. Let's see if the world remembers past next week. That night, the news broke. Skycore CEO resigns pending investigation. Marcus sat in the dark, watching the headline glow on the TV. Jasmine joined him quietly. Taking his hand, she didn't say, I told you so. She didn't need to. He turned toward her. It's not over, he said. She nodded. Then don't stop halfway. He looked back at the screen, his face frozen on the broadcast, a symbol he never asked to become. In that moment, he understood. The fight wasn't for redemption, it was for redefinition. The morning after the hearing, Marcus's name was everywhere. Hashtags, headlines, think pieces, and talk shows. Corporate racism exposed. Whistleblower hero or opportunist. Flight 782 scandal divides America. He woke to the sound of his phone vibrating nonstop on the nightstand. Jasmine was already up, pacing the kitchen. When he joined her, she didn't smile. They've turned it, she said quietly. He took her phone. On the screen, a news segment looping his speech, chopped mid-sentence, framed by a red headline, Aggressive Passenger Defends Outburst. Marcus exhaled through his nose. They cut it right before the truth. They always do. Jasmine's voice was tight. Now look at this. A different clip. A Skycore spokesperson.com, and polished. We regret the incident but reject the narrative being circulated online. The passenger's behavior was non-compliant, and crew followed safety regulations. We stand by our team. The camera cut to stock footage of Skycore employees smiling in diverse uniforms. The hypocrisy stung more than the lie. They're rewriting the story, Marcus said, in real time. By noon, journalists were outside the house. Camera trucks lined the curb. Some shouted questions through the fence. Mr. Hale, are you planning a lawsuit? Do you regret confronting the staff? He ignored them, but the noise pressed in. The internet had split in two. One half called him brave, the other called him dangerous. Inside, Jasmine watched the coverage, pale and silent. This doesn't stop, does it? Marcus shook his head. No, they make sure the punishment lasts longer than the crime. Leon arrived that afternoon, his tie loosened, eyes shadowed from lack of sleep. He tossed a folder onto the table. They've launched an internal audit, he said. It's damage control, but it's something. Marcus frowned. That's not justice. No, but it's the first crack in the wall. Tara joined by video call. Her face was grainy but fierce. They're scrubbing online records, deleting employee complaints. I've got 2 insiders ready to talk, but they're scared. Scared of what? Marcus asked. Retaliation. Skycore's lawyers threatened them with breach of contract suits. They'll need protection before they go public. Leon rubbed his temples. If they talk, this shifts from moral outrage to legal exposure. That's when corporations start bleeding. Marcus stared out the window, mind racing. Then, let's give them a reason to talk. Later that evening, Marcus met one of the whistleblowers in a parking lot near the airport. A woman in her 30s, pale under the fluorescent light, clutching a sealed envelope. I shouldn't be here, she said. They made us sign non-disclosures. I'm not here to use you, Marcus replied softly. Just to listen. She handed him the envelope. Training protocols, emails. They tell us to identify non-standard passenger demeanor. That's their code. They say it's for safety, but we all know what it means. Her voice cracked. They said people like you fit the profile. Marcus held her gaze. Thank you. As she walked away, the sound of her heels echoed like a warning. That night, the smear campaign intensified. Anonymous accounts posted fake records, claims that Marcus had been aggressive on multiple flights, that he'd threatened staff. It spread faster than fact. Tara called. They've activated a bot network. This isn't random. Marcus sat on the couch, the flicker of the TV painting his face blue. They're trying to make me the villain before the next headline drops. Then drop yours first, Tara said. The leak, the documents, we go public tonight. He looked at Jasmine. She nodded slowly. Do it. Before they bury you. They uploaded the files at 11:47 p.m. Flight records, internal memos, the the coded phrases embedded in Skycore's staff manuals. Tara's network spread the story across major outlets in under an hour. By midnight, Skycore's PR department was in flames. The story trended worldwide. #profile protocol lit up the internet. Former employees began sharing their own stories, screenshots, testimonies, voice messages. A digital uprising. Leon called just after 1. It's working. They can't contain it anymore. Marcus didn't celebrate. He watched the live coverage, a talking head debating his tone, another questioning his motives. Even truth came filtered through suspicion. This isn't vindication, he muttered. It's spectacle. Jasmine placed a hand on his shoulder. Maybe spectacle is what justice looks like now. 2 days later, the backlash reached full swing. Threatening emails, a brick through the office window, one reporter outside shouting, "Are you proud you ruined good people's jobs?" Leon urged caution. "We'll get you a protection detail." Marcus refused. "If I hide, they win." He returned to the airport, not to fly, but to stand. Reporters swarmed, cameras flashing. He faced the same gate where it all began. The silence that followed was strange, reverent. "I was told I didn't belong here," he said to the cameras. "So I came back, because belonging isn't granted by power. It's claimed by truth." A flight attendant watching nearby lowered her head. Others stood still, uncertain whether to speak or applaud. That night, the Skycore CEO was escorted out of headquarters. The board issued an apology for institutional oversight and announced new reforms. But Marcus knew apologies were cheap currency. At home, the lights were dim. Jasmine sat by the window, her reflection superimposed on the city skyline. "It's over," she whispered. He shook his head. "It's never over. It just changes shape." She reached for his hand. "Then we keep changing too." He looked out at the planes tracing faint arcs through the dark. Machines that once symbolized distance now became symbols of weight, of gravity, of grounded truth. Marcus had brought a company to its knees. But the victory didn't feel clean. Justice rarely did. Tara called that evening. "I'm leaving journalism," she said. "Going independent. The networks cut my segment. Too political, they said." Marcus sighed. "You knew they'd do that." "Yeah, but I thought maybe this time." She laughed bitterly. "Doesn't matter. I've got the footage. The unedited version. I'll post it myself." He admired her defiance. "They'll come after you." "They already are," she said. "But that's how you know you're over the target." He almost smiled. "Send me the link when it's live." "I will. You deserve to see the whole thing, not what they made of it."